You know, one of the only Second Amendment groups that I actually support is the Second Amendment Foundation. But over the last week, I've become very disillusioned with them, and today I want to talk about how I think that maybe they sold us out. Hey everybody, Yankee here. I don't think it's any secret that I'm no fan of big gun rights organizations like the NRA and the GOA. I don't think they're needed anymore. I think they're big money pits in a society where we are connected to everyone across the country with a couple clicks on a keyboard, and we can be involved in any fight anywhere at any time. By doing that, we don't need something like the NRA or the GOA running out in front pretending like they're the ones getting things done and taking 90% of the money. They're just a big drain on our resources, and they don't really do anything. They're outdated. But, you know, I've always supported some of them, at least to some degree, and one I've always supported was the Second Amendment Foundation. I'm a lifetime member of the Second Amendment Foundation. I always thought they were a pretty good group. But something happened in the last couple of weeks that has sullied their reputation in my mind. And, you know, I might be totally wrong about this. And I'm going to say that up front. You know, give them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm going to speak my mind, because if you don't speak truth to power, what are you doing? And I know that's not profitable, and this video is not going to do me any good in anybody's eyes, but I want to talk about what happened. Since I live in the state of Washington, you know, where they're based and where they were actually involved in suing our attorney general, our previous attorney general, who's now our governor, and his office. They were suing them for civil rights violations. And I was like, yeah, that's something they need to do, hold these people accountable when they pass these unconstitutional laws. Well, it also turns out that our local AG and people associated with that office were investigating the Second Amendment Foundation for things like misappropriation of funds, fraud, you know, all these things. Like, you know, the things the NRA got in trouble for, the things the GOA does now, you know, all those kinds of things. And I was like, well, that's retaliatory. It's because they're suing them, so they're going to sue them back. If the SAF, the Second Amendment Foundation, has nothing to hide, it won't work. You know, they'll continue their lawsuit against the AG and his office because they do violate our civil rights every day in the state of Washington. So I thought they had a strong case. And the fact that the state launched a retaliatory suit against them, actually, though, I think that suit existed first. But since the state launched that suit against them, and I consider it retaliatory, just going after the enemy as far as I'm concerned, looking for whatever they can find. But they did that. And I thought, well, that won't go anywhere. As long as the Second Amendment Foundation's nose is clean, they can continue their lawsuit, because the Second Amendment Foundation not doing anything wrong. State AG is doing things wrong. He knows he's doing unconstitutional stuff, and he gets away with it. So let the lawsuit go through. Let's see what happens. Well, it turns out last week the SAF came out and said, good news! We've been cleared of all wrongdoing by the state of Washington. They're saying we're not scamming people, we're not misappropriating funds, we're not engaged in fraud or anything. And all we had to do was drop our lawsuit against the state. We had to stop suing the state for violating civil rights. So we stopped suing them on your behalf so that they stop looking into our business. And to me, that reeks of capitulation. You know, it looks like the SAF had dirty fingers. And they were willing to drop their lawsuit against the state as long as the state allowed them to continue doing business as always. Now, is this absolutely necessarily true? No, there could be other factors involved. But when you are suing the state for something they're definitely doing, and then you stop because they're looking into you for illegal practices, well, that looks like you're saying, oh, you stop looking at us, we'll stop looking at you. That's not defending me or my rights or your rights. The case against the state was defending your rights, my rights, every individual in Washington's rights. And dropping that case only benefits the Second Amendment Foundation. So I have to say to myself, why are they dropping it? Is it because they are just as dirty as the NRA, and in my opinion, the GOA, and all these other groups, some of which are far worse? I still think the Second Amendment Foundation is probably the best of the bunch, but this doesn't look good. And it really shakes my faith in the Second Amendment Foundation. So if anybody out there has information I don't have, let me know. And I'm not talking speculation. Like, oh, they were afraid that they were going to make up stuff. Well, it's really hard to make up stuff in these type of investigations. If you got nothing to hide, especially when you got the resources the Second Amendment Foundation has, you really don't have much to fear. So if you got some inside information I don't have, Second Amendment Foundation, anyone involved with them, they don't talk to me much anymore since I stopped liking groups like that. But come let me know. But as of right now, it looks like to cover up your own dirty deeds and to cover up your own malfeasance and possibly illegal activities, you were willing to sell out the people in the state of Washington, the people that give you all the money you have. I think most of it comes from right here in Washington. I know I gave you a great big chunk one time, a huge chunk. And I'm glad I did. But the optics of this are bad. Makes me really, like I said, disheartened. So let us know. Were there special circumstances? Was there a reason that I'm not seeing? Or was this just a case of, well, if you continue to let us do our dirty deeds, we'll continue to let you do yours, and to hell with anybody else?